What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video here on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. And today we've got Season 1 finale. We of course have Season 2 dropping for us tomorrow. Long waited, anticipated, but more importantly, this has also been brought forward for us, that we're getting, an early release of Season 2 for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Now, we're going to wrap things up quite nicely today. Just going to have a quick overview of Season 1, what kind of progress we've had, what kind of accomplishments we have made, and talk about the game in general. And I think that's a good point to start off with today. Now, obviously we waited 12, 13 years for the next iteration, the next version of Test Drive Unlimited to come to us, and of course we were presented with Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Now, it hasn't came without its issues, and I think we should address it very limited. I don't want to have too much of a doom and gloom video, because this certainly should not be a doom and gloom video. Test Drive Unlimited has given me some fantastic moments over the last few months. Now, yes, there's been some negativity, a lot of negativity in fact, and a lot of content creators haven't really helped this, focused largely on all negative thoughts on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown and haven't focused on the good things that this game has given us. Yes, there is issues with this being a 100% online game. Yes, there's issues with matchmaking in-game, and yes, there's some issues with the graphics. The graphics are essentially too powerful for what we have got going with us. We need a high-end PC when we're playing this on Steam. Obviously, PS, Xbox seem to be handling it a lot better. Now, putting that to the side, I don't want to focus in on the negativity like I kind of spoke about earlier. I want to focus in on the good things that this has given us. First of all, the other side of the coin when we talk about graphics. The graphics are absolutely fantastic in this game. Like we can see just here, just slowly, casually driving around the map in the F-Type, the reflection of the rain bouncing off the road. Yes, the rain is always here in game, it just seems to be wet constantly here in Hong Kong. I don't really think that is the case in real life. But it gives us a dynamic in the game that we have to try and balance. Now, the balance, again, it is going to be a bit of an issue when we look at hypercar races. That's probably been my biggest pet peeve with the game so far. I hate driving hypercars in this game, but that's purely due to the fact that the large portion of hypercar races are on a wet road, and it just shouldn't be that case. It's not what I want to see happen. I want to see dry races so we can enjoy driving around in our hypercars. Now, let's focus in on the good things. Yes, it is a slightly futuristic game, we could say that for the least. Talk about the Solar Hotel where we're at just now, the way the game started, coming in on that quadcopter. Yeah, there's a futuristic hint to it, but that's fine. It's something a little bit different. Not everything can be like, Forza Horizon 5 for instance. So yeah, there's a bit of a different dynamic with it, but I actually quite liked it. I found it quite endearing. The story of the game so far, questionable at best. It's not been the most engaging, but at the end of the day, this is a racing game. Should the story truly be that engaging? Should we largely be focusing in on the racing itself? And for me, that has been the focus. You guys obviously watching these videos, and I thank you all for doing so, will understand that the focus for me should indeed be on the physical racing within game. Had some fantastic battles. Now, when we talk about racing, we cannot go anywhere in this video without talking about the live events. Some phenomenal moments those live events have given us. The birth of the Citroen 2CV, turning out for me to be a bit of a channel legend. What an absolute bonkers car that has turned out to be overall. Then of course we could take into some of the battles we've had, the most recent American road trip. The way that they have changed the live battles essentially. They're giving us a different challenge for every race, whether it's different RP or a different car category that has to be selected. They have started to balance that out, and they have gave us fantastic challenges for those weekly challenges. Now, that obviously started off slightly different. We had one car that we were using for the battles, and again, I did not mind that at all, because we got to experience some certain cars in game that we simply would never have driven, like the Citroen 2CV. So a massive hats off to the devs, to the team over at KT and Nacon for putting that into the game. I think it has been one of the, if not the best part of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. So whilst we're talking about cars, let's talk a bit more about cars. Yes, I would like to see more cars in game, but like we already know, with Season 2 we're going to be getting a bit of an update to the roster. We're going to be having more cars added along with the new map, along with the new battle pass. So we are in store for some fantastic additions coming to the game. I, for one, cannot wait to see what they're bringing to us just tomorrow. So with that being said, let's take a little journey here and have a look at progress of the game so far. First of all, like we kind of mentioned there, let's have a look at cars and the car collection. Going to quickly start off here in my garage and, kind of have a walk through here, things I've enjoyed, things I haven't. In particular, like I mentioned earlier, the Citroen 2CV, absolute legend right here. We of course tried to mimic Brum, putting that livery together, but one absolute bonkers car this turned out to be. Unbelievably fun to drive, bonkers acceleration, ridiculous off-road. That one there is something I would personally never ever have gotten into in this game until the 2CV challenge came to us, and I'm so glad it did because I've had so much fun driving this one. We could then talk about the Mercedes 300 SL. Of course, this was like a barn find or a wreck find. Had a couple of races in it. It's a good car for, finding in-game. Again, I think that's another pro that the devs have dropped for us. Most recently, the most recent purchase I did make was, of course, the Ferrari 488 Pista for just yesterday's video to round out all of the races in Season 1. Haven't done all too much in it so far, but I had a lot of fun with that car. Move over to the Abarth 500, and of course, this was bought specifically for the Abarth 500 versus Alfa Mito race. It's not the most fantastic of cars. I have one sitting out in the driveway. It's just a little daily runabout, a second car. It is good fun, but it's got a lot of understeer. Probably won't be driving it all too much in game. The Camaro ZL1 1LE. This was, of course, a car given to us for having the gold pack of the game. A nice addition, but with it being an American V8 rear-wheel drive, it's unbelievably leery. It is quite a difficult car. Move over to the Beetle Buggy. Of course, this here was our replica of Brum. Again, another wreck find in game. Pretty much a useless car. It's probably one I'm never ever going to use. Then we can't not talk about the Alpine A110. This was my first car in game. For me, it's been a good choice. I used to work with the engines and the chassis that are on these cars, so I had to go with the Alpine A110. Yes, we could have went with the 370Z or the Ford Mustang, but I think everybody has probably went with either of those, so I went something different. Went with the Alpine A110. Quite enjoyed that one. We're probably going to start off Ibiza in that one as well, unless something else changes. Move over to a hypercar, of course, the Porsche 918. Largely useless unless you're racing it in higher RP races due to the battery pack, draining itself so quickly. But overall, absolutely bonkers car, fast as you can imagine, handled relatively well for a hypercar, but like I kind of mentioned a little earlier, the hypercar races are flawed as most of them are wet, and I haven't enjoyed them all too much. Hopefully that changes in Season 2. Moving on to probably one of my favourite cars in-game, and it is of course the Bentley GT Continental. This was my choice for Grand Tourers to start with, and I've never really had to replace it. Yes, it's not the Porsche Taycan S, but I can't use an electric car in game. I need some internal combustion in my ears when I'm playing this. Having the electric whirring noise, I can't have that in game. We personally have an electric car. We've got a Tesla Model Y for driving about on like our family car, but I can't have that in a game. I need internal combustion. Now, previous games, like Forza Motorsport and Horizon, I have often used a Bentley GT Continental, and they're phenomenal cars. Using in this game, absolutely no disappointment once again. That one there has been a golden highlight for Season 1 for myself. Over to the Chevrolet C1. Again, this one was a purchase for the live race event. Haven't used it all too much, but when we have, we've had a little bit of fun. Not too bad overall. One of the biggest disappointments for myself has been the Lancia Delta Integrale. This thing is an absolute legend in the car world, and it has been quite underwhelming in game. A huge flat spot in third gear. I have managed to wean it out, but overall it's not the best of cars. I was hoping it was going to be a bit of a hidden gem for the off-road racing, and it really has turned out to be a little bit disappointing. Yes, as a daily driver, it's not cross-country, but there's obviously a bit of crossover between those kind of races that we do experience. So quite largely disappointed with the Delta Integrale. Move over to one of the most beautiful cars ever made, the Jaguar E-Type Series 1. I couldn't not use this car. This is one of my favourite cars of all time, in my honest opinion. Probably an unpopular one of the best looking cars ever made. Had to use it, was not disappointed. Yes, it's not going to be the fastest, the quickest, or the best handling car, But we can't not look at the Jaguar E-Type. Absolutely phenomenal. Quite a recent addition is the 2006 Ford GT. Very, very surprised with this one. The bonkers acceleration that we have with this. Very, very impressed. I wish I used that one sooner, and I'm definitely going to use it more. We did then replace it for the most recent live races on the American road trip with the 2016 Ford GT. Another one which I haven't spent enough time with yet. I haven't even built a tune for that one. But I'm looking forward to using that more, hopefully over in Ibiza, building a tune for it because it does seem to be an absolutely fantastic car in game. Ferrari F40 I think it's got to be a staple of everybody's garage. It's got to be an addition within there. It's the poster car for most of our childhoods. Perhaps mine's a bit earlier than many of yours, but the F40, absolutely bonkers. Not disappointed with that one whatsoever. It lived up to the hype, and I will be using it again. Now, perhaps one of the most underused and hidden gems in the garage is the F-Type SVR Coupe. Again, another car we got with the gold edition of Test Drive Unlimited. This thing is absolutely bonkers. We have Bugattis with it. We have absolutely demolished some off-road races. I have then used this with a full off-road build with off-road tyres in supercar races and still won them. This is an absolute hidden gem in game. I need to start using it more. I need to build an on-road mod or tune for this one and actually experience just how good this car is. I think this one is slept on. Probably one of the most slept on cars in game is the F-Type SVR. That one there is right up in the list for myself. Move it down to the AMG GTR, another one I did cover off, guys. The level of grip this car has is absolutely mind-boggling. Yes, it's only 849 RP. I built it specifically for some certain races, but this thing is absolutely bonkers. Love it. Didn't expect it to have as much grip as it did. Being a Mercedes, being rear-wheel drive, having 760 horsepower through the back axle, this thing sticks to the road like nothing else. Very impressed. Again, we will be using it more. The R35 GTR, again, that's going to be a car in everyone's garage. We bought that one specifically for the Amethyst Crown Jewel race. Not disappointed. Could be a bit quicker, but of course it's a heavy car. It's 1,790 kilograms with just 730 horsepower. Now, of course, it can be a bit quicker. We've obviously seen certain things in real life, like the Litchfield builds, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 horsepower. We could see these things get bonkers going forward, but as it is so far, I have used it and I have enjoyed the GTR. Cannot talk about cars without talking about the Huracan Performante, my chosen favourite, my personal pick across the whole game. Yes, I've not driven every car, but the Huracan Performante for me has been the all-round supercar that we've all needed. Absolutely love this car. Made some fantastic videos on this one. Love driving it. Will, of course, be driving it more. Then, of course, we have the second Huracan Performante with the Fluoro Capsule livery. We obviously got this for free by completing 50 races in the Performante. We've not done anything with it yet. Chances are we're going to build this into an off-road style build and perhaps hopefully get to use that one over in Ibiza. Stay tuned for a little bit more on that. Maserati MC20, another car we were given with the game. Haven't used it all too much, probably slept on. Need to use that one more. M4 competition, again we bought that one specifically for that M4 competition. M4 versus Taycan race. I can't use an electric car, so the M4 competition, bought that one. Had to spend quite a bit of time tuning it. If you guys have driven the M4, you'll know how just leery, how lively the back end is with the power that's going through it. Had to spend a lot of time tuning it, but we got there. We've got a good build with that one. Thoroughly enjoy the M4. Will again be using it more. John Cooper Works Mini. Again, we bought that for the Hot Hatch kind of race live event we had. It's alright. It's probably not one I'm going to go through all too much unless it's a race-specific race. Then our first big car that we were given in game for completing out the Solar Pass, the Apollo Intenza Emozione. Phenomenal car. I thought it was going to be useless, being rear-wheel drive with 1,600 horsepower, just 1,000 kilos. Phenomenal power-to-weight ratio, but that car is just mind-blowing. If you've missed out on it by not completing the Solar Pass, guys, you've missed out, but that thing there is absolutely bonkers. Love the Apollo. Again, it's probably going to be one of the go-to hypercars over in Ibiza. Quickly rattle through the rest of the list. The Audi R8 rear-wheel drive, largely useless in game, far too much power through the rear wheels. We of course replaced it with the V10 Decinium four-wheel drive. That thing there's another slept-on car. It's absolutely bonkers, just as good as a Lamborghini. At the time when we purchased was less money. Of course, they did upgrade the cost of this one. It's very expensive, but it's very worthwhile, guys. That thing is absolutely phenomenal. The Audi the Audi e-tron GT. The only electric car I've got. Hate it, useless, couldn't tune it. That might just be me. You guys might have found a good tune for this one. I can't get to grips with it. 2,500 kilos, 800 horsepower, electric noise. It's not a good combo in game. It's not a car I will be using again. My chosen off-roader again was a car we were given at the launch of the game, was the Range Rover Sport SVR. Love it, fantastic. Hate using the buggy, which we can kind of cover off next, but that's my chosen off-roader. I know some of you guys are using the likes of the V12 diesel Audi SQ8, I believe it's an SQ8, whatever it may be, the Lamborghini Urus or whatever, guys. But for me, it has got to be the Range Rover Sport SVR. Speaking of Urus, I have bought one and I have never put it in a single video. I think it's absolutely useless. First gear is awful in this thing. I could perhaps spend some time tuning it, but when I've got the Range Rover Sport sitting there, I see absolutely no use for the Urus here. It looks good. It's pretty much all I'm going to say with it. Again, one of the most broken, if not the most broken car in game is the Audi TT RS Coupe, the daily driver. That thing there is just mind-blowing. You guys know all about the Audi TT by now, but that thing there was absolutely crucial early on in game for advancing forward with races. SLS AMG 2014 edition. This, of course, was another car that we were given with the gold pack. Far too lady on the back end. I don't enjoy it. It sounds absolutely frightening. It is very, very noisy and very, very aggressive, but it's just not a car I want to be using. It's just too late at the back end, so I haven't used it much. The Centero buggy is awful. I hate it. Yes, it's broken. Yes, it's as fast as you like for those off-road races, but I cannot get to grips with the handling model that one gives me. I cannot get it turned the way I want to see these ones turn, hence why I use the Range Rover Sport more often. So yeah, the Centero, fantastic, it truly is, but it's just not my cup of tea. I know many of you guys enjoy it, but it's just not one for me. And lastly, we will round out the cars here with the Bugatti Veyron SS, the poster car growing up. I'm pretty sure everybody has experienced the poster car at some point. It is fantastic, it is mind-blowing. Now, when we talk about the hypercar races, most of them being wet, that one there has been my go-to for the wet races. Four-wheel drive, it's obviously got a phenomenal level of traction, and it pretty much has got me through most of the hypercar races in-game. So I wanted just to have a quick run-through, first of all, of the garage that I've kind of built, the car collection, so on and so forth. Now, having a look through everything else, what else can we talk about? Of course, we did have the early reputation build here in game, starting off like we mentioned with the quadcopter, going over, unlocking the workshops, unlocking our clan. Then we of course start to go through the classes with the likes of the cross country class. What else did we then get? More workshops. We moved forward to supercars, where we then started to experience the Audi R8 Decinium and of course our beloved Huracan Performante. Then we push forward here, like we mentioned, with Ferrari and Lamborghini arrivals. Phenomenal addition when they came. More workshop upgrades, which, you know, I'm not going to touch on those ones all too much. New arrivals being the hypercars, highly anticipated, highly disappointed with those ones. I am hoping that those ones are going to improve. We then had the Crown Jewel races come to us. Fantastic addition. Had so much fun building the content with the Crown Jewel races. Yeah, big, long, drawn-out races right around the map, different styles. Loved it. Fantastic addition. Then, of course, like we mentioned, working our way through the reputation up to level 60, I believe it was, to unlock the Apollo Intenza Emozione. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. If you guys have missed out on it, you are missing out. It is a car that I highly rate within the game. TDU and me, is there much to touch on here? Reputation 60, Sharps obviously being the only clan I did use at 50, unranked for obvious reasons. We can quickly touch on that one. I've barely done any ranked races in general due to the fact is we can barely get any matchmaking going on in game. This is another thing that I think the devs do need to fix, do need to touch on, do need to improve with the launch of Season 2. Quickly talk about some of the generals here. Playing time, I have played 4 days in game. I didn't realise it was that long. That's quite a long time. Let me know what your guys, kind of playing time is. Are you more than 4 days? Are you less? Let me know down below. Money, largest amount of money held, 8 million. Total money earned, 42 million. Total money spent, 40 million. 33 cars, 112 daily challenges, yada yada. Some interesting stats there, but 4 days in game is quite surprising. I didn't realise it was that long. We can then take a look at the races. How have we done with races so far? Completed 756 races, winning 574, 82nd places and 39 third places. Like we can see, no instant challenges, no win percentages, no money earned from instant challenges, again because people for some reason just do not want to participate in those instant challenges. Driving, just about 5,000 miles driven around the map. Best car, or most used car, though obviously no surprise to anyone that watches the videos, is the Lamborghini Huracan Performante, done just over 1,000 miles in game in that car. 500 mile drift. Some interesting stats there as we go forward. Socials, 18 miles walked in game. That's quite an interesting one. Instant challenges and news, not a lot to really touch off there. Solar Pass, we can quickly touch on the Solar Pass. Obviously we're getting a new Solar Pass for Season 2. Largely disappointed. We cannot dismiss the disappointment that we did have with the Season 1 Solar Pass. Yeah, we maybe got a couple of sets of wheels. Yes, we did get these $50,000 money unlock, token unlocks here. Quite a few of them, 4 I believe overall. Some nice wheels, largely disappointed however, the last couple of sets of wheels, money unlocks, and of course the RS e-tron GT, again I was largely disappointed with it, but it's a Solar Pass, we've just got to work through it. We kind of done it naturally, it wasn't all too hard to get, the extra money, the extra car. Hopefully we do see that one improved. Competitions, like I mentioned guys, we can see it here, 2 races, 2 races, still unranked. It is what it is. I don't really know what else to say with this one. I've been humbly disappointed with the live aspect of racing. I really want to understand why people don't want to race PvP. It's a 100% online game. I would like to have seen that one happen more. Now, of course, we can see that people are racing 1v1, but I largely believe that this is people going into a game together and, kind of playing the system as it is to get themselves up to the top of the leaderboard. Axis, the Solar King, is going to be Solar King, 66,000 SP. It is what it is, guys. There was, of course, some phenomenal additions, phenomenal rewards here for capping that one out, and it's a sad part of the game that I'm not going to get to experience that one. I've kind of settled with it. It is what it is. We kind of just push forward. Lastly, we'll touch on the clans here. Clan influence. How do we phrase this one up? It's something I left on the back burner for the largest part. It wasn't engaging for me, the story of it, but like I mentioned earlier in the video, the game for me wasn't about the story that the game has. It was about racing cars. And that's what I kind of focused on. Eventually, of course, we worked our way through the story mode that we had. We completed it off. Very disappointed that at the end of it all, we did not get the Bugatti Chiron. When they dangled those keys in front of us, I truly believed that we were getting a Chiron as a reward. For me, it would have been a nice reward to round out the game, with another car. But it wasn't to be. Overall, guys, I have thoroughly enjoyed Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown Season 1. Highly anticipating Season 2, extremely looking forward to moving over to Ibiza, another map, returning to Ibiza that will be, but another map, more cars, more races, more challenges, a new Solar Pass. I'm very much looking forward to it, guys. I hope you are too. Let me know what you're looking forward to most, what changes you want to see most, everything in between, guys. Let's get the conversation going down in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Thank you very much for watching my progress through Season 1. And tomorrow, guys, we will start the journey over in Ibiza in Season 2 for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.